All gas, no brake.
And now we have liftoff. Welcome into the Now We Have Liftoff New York Jets podcast. It is a Victory Tuesday here, and this is your guy, John June. And of course, would not be a show without my good friend, Frank Jim Piccolo. Frank, what's shaking, man?
What's going on, John? How we feeling? Good Victory Tuesday, brother.
It's a Victory Tuesday. I got my fuzzball Jets hat on. So I'm feeling good, man. The cold weather's coming. So here in this Northeast, especially if you are a Jets fan, I'm assuming you're in the Northeast, but we do have Jets fans from other parts of the world and whatnot. But I'm gonna have my, obviously my Jets hoodie and my fuzzball hat, and obviously we see Frank over there in his hoodie and rocking his veterans gear there with the New York Jets camouflage hat. So, Frank, we are celebrating a win here. The New York Jets defeat the Houston Texans by a score of 21-14. I picked this game correctly, just going to say it. I did choose our guys to win here, but this was a up and down game. We saw obviously the big story was the return of Zachwilson coming into the game. That's obviously not the story coming out of it. But we saw an up and down game, a game where they actually had to fight, a game where they had to face some adversity, and all in all, they end up pulling out this win here. What were your overall thoughts on the game, and how did you feel? I guess, what are your feelings as we sit here Tuesday?
I like the fight in this team, right? Like this team doesn't ever quit. They got a bunch of good character guys, I think, on this team. Like you see the youth all over the field. They look like they're they definitely look like they're a whole lot faster than they were last year. And we start seeing the play calling on both sides, that it's starting to get a little more imaginative, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I like the RPOs that they ran with Wilson, which we've been calling for pretty much all season, to start using Wilson's strengths. And it looked like Ulbrich dialed up some blitzes against that porous Houston offensive line. Like Quincywilliams had a couple of nice delayed blitzes, which was awesome to see. And then our guy JFM with the interception.
Yeah, it was definitely good to see, this coaching staff come out of their rut a little bit, especially defensively. We had kind of expected so much of them based on what we'd seen to start the season. And just recently, it seems like they had kind of reversed course a little bit and we're trending in the wrong direction as a defense. But this performance here, I mean, we said it just last week, this defense it seems like it's at its best when your two inside linebackers are CJ Mosley and Quincy Williams. And we see that again here. Quincy Williams in the middle obviously has another fantastic day. Obviously the defensive line, like you mentioned, JFM, Quinnen, just being disruptive. We saw obviously the play of Brycehall gives up the touchdown early, gives up the touchdown early to Brandon Cooks on a great throw and an even better catch. Nothing Brycehall could do about that. But then to bounce back like he did, make the game sealing play, at the end of the game there on the pass deflection. And then, looking at the play of these young corners like Michaelcarter the second, like we talked about him all the time, all season, basically. He's been one of the best young corners in all of football. As we sit here through 12 weeks, we see what Jav Javelin Guidry has done on the outside. I think he's been really solid there. I mean, shout out to DJ Bienemy, friend of the show, who came on, and he said that he thought that Jav Guidry would actually start the season out as the outside corner opposite Brycehall, but it didn't come to fruition that way. But when brandonechols has been out or there has been an injury there, it's always been Javelin Guidry playing that outside corner spot, and I think he's again played some solid football there. And then this kid Elijah Riley, man, comes out of nowhere. You know, undrafted free agent, or I don't know if he was an undrafted free agent exactly, but was signed off the street essentially and was made a starter. And everyone's like, why is this kid starting? Why is this kid starting? And 2 weeks now, I mean, he's pretty much helped solidify this back end a little bit that's been hurting with some of the losses that they've had. What were your impressions of some of these young guys, you know, the defense especially that's filled first and second year players like almost across the board? What have your thoughts of, you know, have their development to this point in the season?
Well, you touched on Hall and that touchdown pass to Cooks is, you know, there's nothing he could do. That was a perfect ball. Cooks is a great receiver, but for him to come back like with the game on the line, for him to make that play, that was everything. That's everything that I wanted to see out of him right now. Hall had 3 tackles, 3 solos, a pass deflection. Same thing for Guidry. MC Squared had 6 tackles and 4 of them were solo. Quincy 7 tackles, 4 solo. Like Quincywilliams is really starting to become a really good. Like I didn't want to be hyperbolic last week when I was kind of downplaying Quincy, but Quincy could be special in this defense. I don't want to make any statements, but I have a feeling that he could be special in this defense.
No, Frank, you were definitely on to it early. I think from the first time we saw him play, the Tennessee game, I think it was, or was it the Denver? I know the Tennessee game was like his breakout game, but I know he had been seeing some snaps prior to that. I think even in the Denver game. But you had been on to it early that, hey, this kid could be special, man. And I definitely give kudos to you for that, because, you know, I thought about, you know, at the time, like, you know, yeah, I mean, he's athletic as all hell, but he's got a lot to learn. And like, this isn't like a kid that hasn't started in this league before. Like, I mean, he was a 4th round pick of Jacksonville, like, you know, was given, you know, a pretty long leash there in terms of how long he was able to be on that roster to make himself a player. So to see the traits, I wasn't surprised to see traits, but to see the steps that he's taken, you know, this season from that Tennessee game up until now, what he's been able to do next to CJ Mosley as that starting inside linebacker. He just brings another dynamic there. His speed is like legitimately game changing there in your front 7. So I think he's been phenomenal, man.
Yeah, and he's not a young player, but Ronnie Blair had a good game. He had 6 tackles, 3 for loss. I didn't realize he was like a little energy ball. Like he gets after it. That was cool to see.
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously, you know, we talk about this D-line rotation a lot, and it's one of the deepest positions on this team, and it's kind of why we expect so much out of them, you know, every week in and week out. You know, Ronnie Blair, he was a ball of energy. Obviously, we saw JFM have the big man interception. All I'm saying, though, man, is when are we going to get somebody? I know Neesman, Ashton Davis have interceptions, but like, can we get a corner with a pick like Michaelcarter, Brycehall, Jav Guidry? Could you guys get your hands on a ball, please, or maybe an inside linebacker or something?
What about JFM?
I'm saying JFM it's all deal. I mean, JFM and between JFM and Shaqlawson, the defensive linemen are tied with the safeties for the team lead in interceptions. Like, that is not a good look.
That was a hell of a play though by JFM, man.
No, 100%. It was funny, man. Bianca was watching and she's just like, He's slow.
He's not a quick man.
No, not a quick man. I'm sure he was quicker 50 pounds ago, but JFM, you were super athletic, and we love what you do, man. But let's talk about the offense, man. We talked about the defense. I think this might be the first time that we've actually talked about the defense more than the offense to start of the show. But that's because there wasn't a whole lot to talk about. Zach Wilson in his return was less than spectacular, to say the least. 14 of 24, 145 passing yards, no passing touchdowns, an interception, was sacked 4 times. Did have the first rushing touchdown of his career on a goal line carry, where he did get around 2 defenders there, which was good athletic move to see by him. But you and I were talking off air, Frank. I thought that Zach Wilson played poorly. I'm not going to say that, and I've heard this, seen this floating around on Twitter, right? Like you can follow Frank on Twitter at Frankie Bots with a Z. Follow me on Twitter at JR Football Nerd. But looking around Jets Twitter, like if you say Zach Wilson played poorly yesterday, people are going to come down your neck talking about, oh, you think this kid's a bust? Like he's only played like 6 games, and I'm like, no, he's not a bust. Like he can play. He could have played poorly yesterday and still not be a bust. Like that's okay.
But Jets Twitter's going on both sides. Like it is crazy right now. You can't pick one side or the other, or you're gonna get came for. Like it's getting crazy right now. Both sides are. I think both sides need to take a deep breath, right? Like both can be true, that this kid is not playing out of this world.
No, he's not playing good. I think that's the discussion, right? Like it's clear.
Yeah, you're right.
He's
not playing well, but he is just a rookie. And I think Jet fans refuse to give any Jets quarterback that was selected high in the draft the benefit of the doubt, because we've been burned so many times when you talk about Browning Nagel, Ken O'Brien, Chad Pennington, Mark Sanchez, Sam Darnold, right?
Yeah, I mean, just even looking in recent history, right? Like Mark Sanchez was drafted in 09, put on a pedestal, not 09. Yeah, he was drafted in 09. Drafted in 09, was put on this pedestal. Like the Jets finally get their savior. He, nicknamed the Samchise, like all these things, back-to-back AFC Championship games, but he never became that guy, right? And then Sam Darnold, right? There was all this pedigree. Oh, this kid's the next Andrew Luck, or the best thing since Andrew Luck. All these things, right? And he slips to 3, and the Jets, the football gods have mercy on Jets and the Jets fans, and like look what's happened, right? So like I think Jet fans have been burned by this so many times, where like I told you this is how personally like I feel, and how I felt about Zach Wilson before the process. I mean, everyone who's listened to this knows how I felt about Zach Wilson before the process. Like he was always 3 for me, right? He was always like,
for both of us,
right? For both of us. So like, and that's not to say I don't like Zach Wilson, because I like Zach Wilson a lot, right? And I went into the process thinking like I wasn't going to like Zach Wilson. And I go into it coming out, having watched the film, like, wow, this kid is really good. Like there's a lot of good stuff here. But there's also a lot of things that you knew that he was going to have to work on. So I don't sit here and say like, yo, he hasn't played well to say I think the kid sucks. But I also say that Zach Wilson is going to have to prove to me that he is going to be like, I'm going to need to see tangible evidence that Zach Wilson can be a top 15 quarterback in the NFL. Like I'm going to need to see it's not going to be just it can't be just a drive. It can't be just one game. It's got to be like consecutive weeks of good play. And it might not come this year, right? There's no guarantee it comes this year. Maybe it comes next year. But even if we get something, like I think Jet fans right now would die for what Sam Darnold did at the end of his rookie season, right? If Zach Wilson gives us something like if he finishes his rookie season the way Sam Darnold finished his rookie season with those games against, finishing against Buffalo, Houston. There was the Green Bay game, and then obviously New England, which we know how that turned out. But if Zach Wilson could put together 3 games like that, I think Jet fans would come out of this season feeling much better about him and his future going forward.
I agree, but I'm not there. I don't agree with that. Like, so Sam Darnold had 4 great games, but what did it lead towards the next year? And I know the Jets didn't help him by hiring Adam Gase, the quote unquote quarterback whisperer, but that's neither here or there. I would rather see how the Jets are doing it now, where you've had Salah say when he was drafted, you're not going to have to lift us up. We're going to lift you up. Like, I don't think they view Zach as a savior. Like, maybe some fans did, and maybe some other people, because it's the Jets, thought this kid was going to be the savior. But how they're calling plays, how they're building the team, like, you could see that the Jets are making a concerted effort to put a brick wall around Zach Wilson, with the drafting of Becton, with the drafting of Elijah Veratucker, with bringing in Moses, with the trade for Duvernay. Like, there's an effort by Joe Douglas to build a brick wall and then have playmakers around him. Talk about Correydavis, talk about Elijahmoore, talk about Keelancole. And then the play calling, a lot of RPOs, a lot of screens, a lot of end arounds to Elijahmoore. Like, I think they're trying to make the offense as explosive as possible. In the meantime, making it as quarterback friendly as possible. That's what, right? Isn't that what we heard, that this offense was tailor made for a player like Zach Wilson? I just don't think it's going to come right away. And you know what? I take that. I will take that. And I think as Jet fans, when we're drafting so high, we have too high of expectations for what these quarterbacks can be. Like, you talked about DJ, who's a friend of the show. He made a comparison to a quarterback in this league who me and you are pretty high on, but you had thought that Jets Twitter was going to have a heart attack when DJ said that he thinks this is Zach's ceiling.
Yeah, I mean, the name that you didn't name is Derek Carr, but Derek Carr, Jet fans were told that was his ceiling by New York Daily News reporter DJ Bieniemy, and they were sent in an uproar about this. I don't think that that's a bad comparison to make. I actually told you, Frank, that when Derek Carr came out in 2014, or was it 20? I think it was 2014 when Derek Carr came out. I comped him to Aaron Rodgers. So people make the comparison of Zach Wilson to Aaron Rodgers. Like, obviously, there's a play style perspective that comes into that, and then you're trying to project what this person could be at the next level. I don't hate that comparison at all. But back to the original point, Frank, I do think that I'm not saying, like, obviously there's no bearing on what it'll mean for Zach Wilson's career and how he finishes the season, similar to Sam Darnold, or even we saw Geno Smith do something similar his rookie year. I think what it does, though, is it gives you confidence, right? Like, it gives you confidence. Like, it stops, as a Jet fan, you're not like projecting anymore. As a Jet fan, you're like, well, no, like, look at these games where he played well. Like, and then you have the trust of the coaching staff. Like, this is a much better situation that Zach Wilson is in than Sam Darnold was in, right? Like, you don't have a promising offensive weapon to look to like you do with Elijahmoore. You don't have potentially your running back of the future in Michaelcarter. You don't have your left tackle of the future next to your your left guard of the future. And potentially even more upgrades to be had on the offensive line. You don't have Mike LaFleur, who, when I meet Mike LaFleur, I'm going to have to apologize for all the crap that I talked about him for the first 3 weeks.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Hey, not just me.
No, I was there. I was there too. I was right on board with you.
Okay, so you'll be right there next to me when I'm
Yeah,
apologizing.
of course. We're going to apologize as a show.
But he's made fantastic strides, and so when you look at what he's been able to do, and you combine that with the hey, look at this next year. You're going to have your starting quarterback, your starting running back, your starting wide receiver, all in the same offense for the second year in a row, and you couldn't have said that about Sam Darnold and company back in 2018 going into 2019. So on that being said, I mean, what were some of your favorite I guess I'll just say this, like my favorite thing from Mike LaFleur on Sunday was the end around to Elijahmoore on 4th and 1, because you needed a play. And we talk about all the time, like, uh, Adam Gase, right? He talks about, oh, my system, my system. Like, I need players for my system. And in a game where you needed this 4th down to close out close it out and win this game potentially, like there's no secret sauce that that Mike LaFleur is looking to, no secret play. He goes, who's my best player? Who's my best player on the field right now? Who gives us the best opportunity to convert this 4th and 1? And he chooses to just an easy end around to Elijahmoore. I thought it was fantastic. And just continuing to show the growth and maturation of offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur.
Absolutely. I have two plays that really stood out to me. One's not really LaFleur. One is actually Coach Salah. But the 2-point conversion I thought was pretty cool to see, right? You bring in Josh Johnson and you have Zachwilson going out wide, and then you run a QB. I guess it's a QB sneak, but more like a QB draw.
It was like a read option. They ran read option, but I think Josh Johnson made the wrong read.
Yeah, he did. He did. But he said, "I'm getting this. I don't get a game that often. I'm gonna make mine count." Which is cool, as long as you get in, right? And then what I thought was really cool was me and you last week talked about analytics when it came to our kicking game. And I think it was the second 4th down where they're coming out of a timeout and Salah called another timeout because he wanted to get the offense onto the field.
No, I think they call the timeout and then they're gonna go for it, but then they get delay a game.
Yep, that's what happened.
And then you're like, seriously? But then they go for it anyway. And you're like, yes, because we had been talking about last week, like, yo, I mean, the chances of you converting this with your offense has got to be higher at this point than Amendola hitting a 50-yard kick. And I think he only, maybe he listened. Maybe he was like, I'm giving Amendola one more chance, because they literally watched him miss the field goal. And he
pushed it left this time. He didn't hook it right.
It's just like, bro, you have one job, bro. Just make the kick. And it just upsets me that they continue to go back to him. It's like, is his roster spot for is it like a pity party? Like, I don't get it. Like, why do we feel the need to keep this kid on the roster? Like, he's not Rudy or anything, right? Like there should be another kicker out there that can hit field goals such as this one. The Washington football team lost a kicker. Guess what? They signed a new one today. No telling if he's any good, but you got to bring him in to find out.
Well, we do have one on the practice squad.
Well, is he any good? Because
he can't be worse.
I mean, he must be, because they sit there and they watch both of them kick in practice every day. And for whatever reason...
Well, Salah talked about how Amendola is a rookie and he's still getting his feet underneath him. He's getting better. Typical Salah. Getting better every day. There's that.
Salah's optimism is so annoying in September and October, November months.
But you love it in the off season.
Oh, in the off season, it's great. But when they're 3-8, like, go kick rocks, bro. With no shoes.
But he did talk about, like, he directed when he was on the Michael K show. He directed, like, part of it to the Jets fans and said that Jet fans are going to appreciate the good time so much more because of what we're going through right now.
Don't talk about the labor. Show me the baby, bro.
I know, but you got to go through the labor first. Huh? Yeah, I know. But I told you it was gonna get worse before it got better.
Yeah, that was Adam Gase. You remember that, right? I mean, this is better technically, right? The Jets have more wins in November than they did all last year. So,
and it looks better. It just looks better.
Sometimes
like it passes that. No, it passes the eye test. Like when you sit down and watch this team, right? Especially the offense, you don't see Frank Gore running the ball 20 times. You see plays to Elijahmoore. You see plays to Michaelcarter before he got hurt. You see this kid Walter, who had a good game, had scored a touchdown. Like you see. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say.
So you're gonna talk about P. Ryan, weren't you? I saw that smile. I knew it.
I was gonna say Austin Walter. We get an Austin Walter sighting before Michael P. Ryan.
He's getting cut in the offseason.
I don't know why he hasn't been cut already.
They need a fullback.
We should have Josh Adams, and we don't because we decided that we were going to hold on to Michael P. Ryan.
Yeah.
But go ahead, carry on. I'm sorry.
No, when Frank was wrong. It's okay.
No, it's when Joe Douglas was wrong, right?
Yeah.
That's really what it is, because I hated that draft pick the moment it was made. And there's never been a moment where I've been sold on it.
I hear you. But I got to say, John, I was happy with Connor McGovern this week.
Wow. Connor McGovern, if you're listening, stop what you're doing. Go buy a lottery ticket or something, because this is your lucky day. Because Frank, not a huge fan of you. So for him to say this, it must mean you must have done something good on Sunday, brother.
So when we were talking about doing our previews of the offensive line right after the Jets signed Moses, and we were hoping that Moses potentially could slide over to right guard, I told you that I don't think McGovern's a bad center or a bad offensive lineman. I just don't think he's going to elevate someone around him. And we talked about the problem with having vanroten start is that you have a severely below average right guard next to probably an average to maybe a little bit below average guard. And Duvernay played, for a guy that's only played 2 games in 2 years, I thought he played really well. It seems like he's kind of settled the middle of this offensive line a little bit.
Yeah, I mean the best compliment you can give to an offensive lineman is to not call their name on Sundays, and you wouldn't even know Laurent Duvernay-Tardif was even on the field. You would have zero idea because they never talk about him. You know who they did talk about a lot? Craig Van Roten. And you know whose name you don't hear anymore? Greg Van Roten. Because he's not on the field. And it's awesome. So, Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, shout out to you. Appreciate what you've been doing. You've been killing it on the offensive line there and making the offense's day much better. So hopefully Zach Wilson, the only Jets quarterback to not have a 300-yard day. Not really. Joeflacco didn't either. But I like to say it because it'll maybe give him a sense of urgency here. But Obviously, we have gone a little bit. We're not really not over because we try to keep it under an hour, so we're still doing good on time. But we'll move on to this next segment, which is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Football fans, I'm sure we all love an action-packed, high-scoring NFL game. But with the latest no-brainer from DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, you'll be a winner once a single point scored. New customers who bet just $1 on any team to score can win $100 in free bets. It's that simple. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state, you can still get it on still get in on the NFL action. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes all season long with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports Contest. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code TPPN. Bet $1 on any team to score and win $100 in free bets. If they score, you score with promo code TPPN this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit, $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. It was rocky at the beginning, but as Robert Salah said, you were fortunate for the end because you had the beginning and my hooked on phonics mishap a few weeks back. We weren't going to say it, but I said it, so it's all good.
I thought you did a great job, John.
Oh, thanks, Frank. Thanks. Don't lie to me. All right, let's move on. And like I said, this segment is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. And this line here on the Jets game is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook, where the New York Jets are at home in MetLife Stadium, where the Philadelphia Eagles will actually be traveling to MetLife for the second week in a row, as they were there last week, facing off against the New York Giants. But the Jets here are 6.5-point underdogs at home with a game that has a 45-point total. In terms of some injuries, Keelancole was added to the COVID list, so he joins denzelmims, who's already there. So the Jets receiving core getting a little bit weaker here as we get farther into the season. Obviously, we know Correydavis, he missed last week's game with a groin injury, so hopefully he can get back in, but it seems like the Jets are kind of hurting at the receiver position right now. For the Eagles, it seems like quarterback Jalen Hurts is potentially questionable as he's dealing with a sore ankle. I find it hard to believe that he doesn't play. I mean, my man finished the game, and if it's a low ankle sprain as opposed to the high ankle sprain that we've seen Kyler Murray dealing with, I would 100% expect him to play in this game. So, all these things being said, Frank, what are your thoughts on this matchup here against the Eagles, and how did the Jets fare against this 6.5-point spread?
I think that spread's a little high. Like, the Eagles aren't a very good football team. Jalen Hurts is a good football player, but they don't run the ball particularly well, which is pretty much has been the Jets' Achilles heel all year long. Rieger's okay, but he had those two horrendous drops yesterday. Like, the one drop in the end zone he had against the Giants, his eyes were closed when the ball was there. I don't know if you saw it, but I saw the replay. I was like, what are you doing? Like, you're a professional wide receiver. Keep your eyes open. With that being said, just the offense scares me this week because Zach Wilson has a tendency to play hero ball, and he's coming back home, And if he doesn't come out of the gates firing, I have a feeling that the Boo Birds are going to be out. But I will take the Jets to cover.
Yeah, this game's interesting, right? Because the Eagles are not a good team. Like you previously mentioned, they are 5-7. They just lost to the New York Giants, who we know aren't a great team, aren't a good team either. And when you look at the NFL just in general, like it's a matchup league, right? It's not necessarily, oh, this team is exponentially better than that team, which in some cases that is actually the fact. But in a lot of cases, it's how do you match up with this other team? And so when you look at the Eagles, right, like how are they built? They're built. Their offense is they have a mobile quarterback. They're going to run a lot of plays, design quarterback runs, some boot action. But how's their pass game built, right? Like, and when you look at their pass game and how that operates, it really only runs through two players: Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith. I think the Jets can handle Devontae Smith. I don't think him alone could really give the Jets that much trouble. The Jets have struggled against tight ends, so maybe they struggle a little bit against Dallas Goedert. I do think that Jalen Hurts will give the Jets trouble with his legs. This defense, if you look at what it's done against mobile quarterbacks, just even going back to Salah, what they've done against mobile quarterbacks, if you look at their, it's not good. If you look at what they've done against Russell Wilson, you look at what they've done against Kyler Murray, you look at what they've done, even in our own division, what they've done against Josh Allen. It's not a good track record. And so I think that they could have some trouble here against Jalen Hurts on the defensive side of the ball. Although the D line, right, when you bring a D line like the Jets have to a party, you can wreck any game.
And Brycehuff should play this week.
That would be a huge boost for them. To give them another athletic presence, another speed presence off the edge. Well, it would give them one speed presence off the edge. But you have to. So just I think the D line gives you a chance for sure. Again, I think Quincywilliams, if he's assuming he's going to be healthy, which I think he obviously will be, and playing, I think he provides a huge advantage with his speed and limiting Jalen Hurts in secondary, second reaction type plays. On the offensive side of the ball, I think we do struggle, and I think it, regardless of the home crowd and how hard they are on Zach, I think that Zach is going to struggle here just because you look at this Philadelphia defense and the strength of it is they've been, their corners are really good, right? Darius Slay has taken, he's, gone back to that upper echelon play that we're used to seeing from him when he was in Detroit. And so they shut down wide receivers. And so I think Elijahmoore is probably in for a bit of a down day here. And, the way that teams have been able to really pass the ball against Philadelphia has been the tight end position. Jets ain't got one of those.
What's a tight end?
Yeah, it's not looking pretty. On top of that, you consider what they have. Obviously Philadelphia's D line is respectable. So I think that obviously the Jets offensive line might have their hands full in conjunction with what Zach Wilson will be facing in the secondary. So I think it'll be a slow day. The line of 6.5, I think the Jets do cover it. I think they get a strong performance potentially from the defense here. I think that they'll struggle with Jalen Hurts at some points, and but I think they'll make enough plays on the defensive side of the ball to keep this game close. But I don't think there will be a lot of points scored in this game at all.
No, probably not. I think both offenses are going to struggle a bit. I think it's going to come down if the Jets can stop Jalen Hurts' running ability. And if they can, they'll probably win the game. If they can't, they'll probably lose the game.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. All right, Frank.
Did you
Who
pick?
do-
Did you pick?
Yeah, I picked the Jets to cover.
Oh, okay. I had a brain fart. My apologies.
It's okay. Who's your lock, Frank?
Do you want to guess who my lock is?
Let me guess. You're picking Arizona over Chicago.
Yep, that is my lock of the week. Lock it up. Lock it up.
Well, I'm going to. Oh man, this is good. This is ugly. I'm staying in state, but I'm also going to go to our division. So, Miami Dolphins take on the New York Giants. Daniel Jones is not playing. The Dolphins are 5-point favorites. The Dolphins have actually been playing some good football. They're 5-7 right now. They kind of can make this push for a wild card spot, like outside chance here. So they're playing to win. You got to beat this Giants team that's not very good.
They're so bad.
So give me the Dolphins to cover 5.
That's a smart bet. That's a smart bet.
It's what we do on this show. Smart decisions only. Famous last words there.
You know that's gonna bite you in the butt.
Some way, somehow, it will. It will find a way to creep back into this week. Hey, remember when you said smart decisions only? Psych. But yes, your boy will be in the stands for this game here. So if you are in MetLife, come check me out. Whatever. Section 129. What's up? But that being said, love you. We appreciate you. Hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. As you can see, I gained a couple pounds or 2. But until next time, y'all, hopefully it's another victory. Maybe. We'll catch y'all later. Peace.